What's going on, people? This is We Are Tottenham on Tour, the takeover of We Are Tottenham TV. This is the day 3 of the takeover, and I'm here with the two Brians, myself and Brian Ireland. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing well, mate. I'm doing well. Happy to be here again. Obviously, an honor to be doing it for the boys, and absolute pleasure.
Exactly. Now, I don't know if anyone will be able to guess what today's topic is, but just in case you haven't worked it out, this man right here, Fabio Paratici, who we're going to do a season so far, and also we have manna from heaven today, didn't we, Brian?
We did, yeah. We got a little lucky with a statement from him, which we're going to break down a little bit, and looking forward to doing that.
Yeah, so I mean, let's start from the very beginning. Obviously, he was appointed in July by the club, and obviously he came with a big reputation for being the best in the business. What was your first thoughts?
Yeah, he came in from Italy. He was at Juventus and did a good job there. There's a question on whether or not he did. Some people don't necessarily think that he did a good job there. I think that sometimes the memory is of the good things, not the bad things. With a lot of whether it's players in sport or management, you remember the good, not the bad. And I think it's pretty balanced. I think he's done some, similarly at Spurs, he's done some things that weren't so good, and some really good things, obviously, which we'll get into those details. But yeah, so far I'm happy with what he's done generally, but we'll get into the specifics of it.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I was just delighted finally we got director of football, because it was so clearly
needed.
It was
desperately needed.
Something we so clearly needed. I mean,
we talked about it a lot, hadn't we?
We had talked, we've gone through them, but we knew right now that we needed that middleman between manager and chairman. In my own personal opinion, the one I wanted was Luis Campos. And the reason I wanted that was it just fit the business model of Tottenham Hotspur a bit more. Young.
He was on my list as well, for sure. And he was available, I think, at the time, too.
He was. But listen, Paratici came in with a glowing reference, glowing CV, won big honours, managed big transfers. So just to get a man of his stature in was a positive for me to begin with. But
yeah, I agree.
So it was a huge obstacle overturned by getting him. And then obviously the first indication we got to really see what he was about was the summer transfer window.
Yeah, which there's some players that have come in. Obviously, the key one for me is Romero. That's the most obvious one. You got Galini, who came in, Romero, Gil, Sarr, who went back out on loan, and then Emerson Royale, who hasn't been that a popular figure at Tottenham since he's been here. It's been a little up and down. He had some moments, but yeah, when you look at that list of summer transfers, and of course he did come in July, so some of those, it's hard to determine target wise whether he had said, I want these players. Some of them may have already been targeted by the previous Hitchin, who was in charge before. So we don't really know which ones are specifically his transfers and which ones were sort of the clubs and how they combined that. But not a great window if you like, other than Romero, I think. The rest of it, Sarwi is an unknown factor. Emerson Royale hasn't been great. Galini hasn't been great. The summer for me wasn't great except for Romero, but Romero probably is enough because of how good he is. You know what I mean?
I mean, let me give you a quick breakdown of how I look at those players.
Sure.
I was actually on We Are Tottenham TV with Ben. It was still during COVID, so we were doing a Tottenham update. He was at home, I was at home, and we talked about Galini incoming. And I didn't know much about Galini, but I was like, the way this deal had been structured, because obviously we didn't know Lloris was going to sign a contract where he is now. We thought this could have been the end, so we need a goalkeeper. So getting a goalkeeper in, so if Lloris had gone, we didn't. The world
bit of an emergency rather than
exactly. There was, so I really
long-term thinking.
I like the way that deal was structured, but obviously the deal is not working out. It's not. It's not been.
He's just not good enough, is he?
No, I mean, and then soon after Galini, obviously we had a very, very special player come. Romero, my God, again,
unreal.
He has been. I mean, he came with a very, very, very big reputation, and my word, is he living up to it? I mean, again, a player I didn't know a lot about. And I thought he was coming to be a centre-back in a 2 or a centre-back of the 3.
Yeah, he was, from my understanding, he was the center of a 3 at Inter, right? Or was not Inter, sorry.
Atlanta.
That's Atlanta. Yeah, my apologies. So he had, that's what most people thought, that's what we would see. We would see him come in and sort of dictate the players around him, but it hasn't turned out that way.
Exactly. I mean, what a Bob Spur and the Irish Hotspur were waxing lyrical, especially Bob Spur, with me and him talking. And my God, he's incredible. And I was lucky enough to be at the Man City game when we won 3-2, and he was just unbelievable. And when I had the pleasure of seeing him, what I love about him is he makes the things that other defenders look so hard look so,
does it with
easy.
ease, doesn't he? He's silky smooth and
Oh.
in a banger at the same time. Like he does both. He's gritty. He loves a tackle. He's he loves a yellow card, as we know so far, which is a possible problem. But one of the only things you could say about Romero that you'd be bothered by is his penchant for a yellow card. But it comes with so much.
Oh, it does.
It's fully worth it.
It does. But then moving on to Brian Hill, and this transfer really still puzzles me. It still puzzles me. He came. I mean, obviously we had the whole, we couldn't sign Tomiyasu at the Olympics, but we could sign Hill, who was at the Olympics. Obviously, Lamela went the other way. Another one, and I'll roll Papasar into this as well.
Yeah,
and another one of those for the future.
Again, these both of those transfers ring Hitchin for me, not Paratici.
Okay.
And again, I'm guessing at that, and we don't really know for sure because of Paratici coming in July. I mean, that's the middle of the window already. So some of these could have been on the table already. I don't, from what we've seen from Paratici over and above, like Romero, Decky, Bentancur, those players all are immediate, and to me they seem like more of a Paratici. But again, we're guessing a little bit.
Exactly. Well, the one with Brian Hill, the only reason I think it's more Paratici is obviously there's the player exchange, which Paratici is known for.
Right. Okay.
He is known for.
Fair.
So I think that one may have. I agree with you, Sar. And then obviously on the last day of the transfer window in the summer, when we were waiting for to get a right wing back that everyone knew we needed, Tomiyasu had obviously been finalising a contract with the Filth
for 14 mil, I think, too, and we paid 27, I think, for Royale around there. I think
Royale just came out of the blue. But the one thing I'll say about Royale is obviously he was bought to play in a Nuno team.
That's true. Yeah,
he's bought to play in a Nuno team.
Yeah, more defensive minded, not going to go up and down, bombing up and down the.
Exactly.
Not a wing back, a fullback.
Exactly. I mean, I think we can all say when we talk about right backs, it's been going worse and worse, and this can't be taken lightly. But obviously, this deal may still work, but it really hasn't set the world on fire at all.
Yeah, it's a tough one because, players, he's young too. He's, I think, 21, 22. So you're looking at a guy who has skill. He's not terrible on the ball. You can see Brazilian. He's got a little bit of flair when he uses it. He just doesn't have good decision making, and he doesn't know how to track back and forth as a wing back in Conte's system. So
cross.
And as a wing back, that is the most important attribute. You have to be able to run a lot, and you have to be able to put the ball in the box, and you have to be accurate.
Exactly.
And he hasn't done that. So.
Exactly. So that was the summer over.
Yep.
And then obviously we were under Nuno, and then we all know what happened there. And obviously I was at that United game where it all switched when Mora got substituted. We're not going to go into what happened there, but that was the end of Nuno. And then obviously one thing I will say, and I think you'll agree with me, most people, I could honestly say there's no Romero and there's definitely no Conte without Paratici.
Yeah, 100%.
I don't think this. I mean, we went for Paratici the first time without him. For Conte in the summer, and for whatever reason you want to think or believe happened, we're not sure. No one knows the real reason. It didn't happen. Paratici apparently went start raving mad at the Wolves United game, stormed out in the second half, left the stadium, and then what do you know? Within a week,
these Italians are so emotional.
Yeah.
That is not an insult, by the way.
They are emotional.
That's amazing because I love it. It's passion, and we want to see that.
Incredible. It's incredible. But obviously, he left on the. So I was with Ben here on the WeAreTottenhamTV again, famously. He left on the Sunday. No, it was rumoured on the Sunday. I think he left on the Monday, and by the Wednesday, we had Antonio Conte. And this is definitely a lot.
Conte.
He drinks Moretti, he eats spaghetti, he hates freaking Chelsea. So yeah, I mean, for me, there's no doubt whatsoever that Paratici had a huge
100%
in this.
I don't think Conte comes without Paratici being the director of football at Spurs. I think his reluctance initially to come was probably what he was dealing with.
Yep.
And he wasn't dealing with Paratici, and there's a certain amount of convincing that goes to getting him to come to Spurs when he knows he's going to be working with somebody he understands.
Yep.
They speak the same language, but they also speak the same language of winning.
Brilliant.
And that for me was massive. And I think that was the reason that Conte ended up signing. And thanks for that, Paratici.
Exactly. Exactly.
We're lucky as hell for that. So
that happened in November.
Yep.
And then obviously the next big talking point to get into was the transfer window, which I had quite a big activity.
Yeah, there's
not within the
stuff going
club.
on in that way. Do you guys remember that?
Yeah, but obviously, let's talk. There was outgoings and incomings. Let's talk about the outgoings first.
Sure. I think that's the most important. And this was for me. I'll start with this if you don't mind.
Yeah,
this was for me. I thought the most important thing in the January transfer window was who we can get rid of, despite it thinning our squad out. And of course, we all know the comments that Conte made in press conferences about that thinning the squad. And I actually think that he said he was happy about it, but just sometimes lost in translation. But we saw Dele go to Everton on a permanent basis. We loaned Gil back out. We loaned Lo Celso back out. We loaned Tanguy Ndombele. But that's like those are 4 creative players. We lost 4 creative players, but 4 players who weren't playing. Gil was coming off the bench. Dele was coming off the bench sometimes. Tanguy Ndombele was in the reserves or just training by himself. And Lo Celso was just injured or just bloody useless, basically. And of course they've gone to other clubs and they've done okay in some cases, but I thought that was an amazing part of the window, and I know that it probably doesn't get a lot of credit or a lot of joy because it isn't exciting. It's like, oh, we got a player, we get to get excited about the player. Yep. We got rid of dead wood that was problematic in the dressing room, that was problematic for the team atmosphere and for Conte to get his ideas across. And so you get them out of the way, and then you can then focus on who you bring in, which I'll let you, unless you have some thoughts on that. I'm going to
talk very briefly about 2 players on these. I want to talk about Brian Hill, who, like I said at the beginning with the coming in, I don't get the going out. Yes, he needed minutes, and he was saying he was with the physicality and whatever. Apparently the club think highly of him and think he is going to be.
I think he'll be back.
No, he is. They said there's no buy, there's no option, there's no obligation.
Yeah.
He's coming back.
They just wanted to get him out there and play.
It's like you need to bulk him up.
Yeah.
So either keep him and work with him, or send him somewhere in England.
So we all wanted that, right? I wanted to see him go to the Championship. I thought he would have just laced it in there.
This is why I didn't get this loan. I think it was I understand the minutes, but from what Alistair Goldfidge I was watching, he's gone to Valencia and they're loving him out there. They're loving it. But
he's been brilliant apparently.
He's playing Spanish football that he knows and that he's used to. And he comes back for pre-season and he's in the same boat that he was in last season.
Yeah, and then you're not going to get the physical potentially physical nature. Now, we don't know necessarily what other options were available. I do think getting him on loan period was the goal. And maybe there wasn't those options that somebody either could afford him or that he wanted to go. I mean, you also have to think of the player. In that case, and so maybe it was the available option, and we ended up having to take it. So I'm not sure, but I agree with you. I would rather have him seen another Premier League team or a high championship team where he's gonna get the minutes and he's gonna shine. He's gonna be a star.
Exactly. The other one I'm only going to talk briefly about this one is Tanguy Ndombele. Yeah. Obviously, he's been hot and cold once again in Lyon, but we know he's coming back. The £65 million buyout back is not going to happen. And,
nobody's going to pay that money.
And you look at it as well, and it's just like, how many weeks did that loan deal take? There were so many different teams. He's not mentally right. He's not this. He's not that. I think to benefit, I mean, we don't, this is all hindsight. I mean, I would have taken a 20-30 million pound loss on him just to get, and 200 grand a week out the door.
Yeah.
Just to clear some space and say, right, let's just write this off. It's a bad buy. Let's cut our losses. But obviously it didn't happen. But the positive things we do have to talk about.
Yeah.
Are the 2 people that have come in, and I'll let you go first.
Yeah, I mean, it just brought a smile to my face as soon as you said it, because Kulusevski and Bentancur come in and have both hit the ground running. They look like they have been in the team from the start of the season, essentially, having been maybe even getting them in the summer. It looks like immediately they're part of the squad, and incredible performances. There's a couple of little things here and there that you can point out if we're gonna be picky. Bentancur's which some people hate. I love his insistence on playing it from the back and trying to beat players at the top of this 18-yard box. But I think when it comes to his transformation of the midfield of our team and how we play now, because of him, because of his transition game, and I talked about transition. We've talked about Tanguy Ndombele being that player as well. When he's on and doing that, he does it incredibly well. He just doesn't do it regularly. What we're getting from Bentancur is a regular transition player, not the same as Dembele, but offering a similar kind of progression in quick speed to getting it moving from the defense to the midfield to the forwards in a breakneck speed. And he sees a pass, he hits it. And I love that. And Kulusevski, I mean, he just fits slotted right in. He's part of every goal, part of every move. His passing's amazing. His attitude, his love for Spurs, everything he says, all the right things. I mean, he's become my favorite player in a very short time that he's been here. Yeah, I just love watching him. I love his enthusiasm. I love how he plays on the ball. I love his quality. There's a couple things about him that I want to see him do a little bit better. Obviously, he loves to cut in on the from the left. He's a left footer, so he's an inverted winger. I want to see him get a little bit better at shooting. I think you and I have chatted about that as well. But man, have they really changed the team? That front three with Decky in it is as good as any front three in the league right now.
So yeah, I mean, I'll talk a bit about Bentancur because I didn't even know who he was.
I didn't either.
I didn't know what country he played for. I didn't know his first name. I hadn't even heard of him. So when we heard we were buying him, but what I have loved that what he's brought is he's brought a sense of calm to that midfield. His weight of pass, his decision making, his and the thing that highlights it for me the most, and I can do it within a 2-game thing. I was at Man City again with Ben and Simeon.
Yeah.
When it was 2-2, a ball came in from someone, and Bentancur clipped that ball forward to Kulusevski. Normally at 2-2 with a few minutes to go,
it's a sideways
pass back or whatever. But you have to.
Who are you talking about that does that, Brad?
It could be, well, the next person, if you watch the Middlesbrough game, when we're losing 1-0, which was the next game, I believe.
I think you're right.
No, it was Burnley, then Borough. But then we were in the last minute of Borough. The ball came to Winks to try and get it in, and what did he do? 1-0 down. It went backwards. So I think you said the word transition, but if you even look at the second goal for West Ham, the ball that Harry Kane passed, he's able to pass that ball because of the weight of pass that Bentancur passes.
It's around him as well. Exactly. It's just a beautiful, beautiful pass.
I think, and as we're saying, the thing with him and as you were saying, Bentancur, this guy's got the fitness. This guy's got the stamina.
And he's doing it week in, week out. Other than the United game, which we'll all agree he had a bad game. He had an off. He's had one off game though when he's played. And he obviously got injured and was out for a bit. But the games that he's played, he's made a massive difference in how we play. It's incredible.
So now moving on from that, let's talk about. We're going to get onto the manna from heaven, which was the statement and the video that came out today. But what we do want to take a bit of time to talk about is how we are commending and admiring, whether you like him or not, what Paratici is doing in coming out. I think this is 3rd or 4th video, maybe 5th if you include the very first
one where he was
saying,
saying hello, essentially, right?
You've got to say. Not a lot like you see the Aston Villa chairman doing it or the Christian Perslow, and everyone's like, do you know what? Fair play. What a way to allow the fans some kind of insight.
Yeah.
And whether you agree with what he's saying, whether you like what he's saying, whether you reckon it's propaganda or whatever, I commend him and give him a great deal of respect for coming out and talking, especially when the chips have been down. He's come out.
Yeah, and I would like to add to that as well. I think what he's doing really well is, we talk about propaganda, and of course we've seen Levy with the propaganda, and it's blatantly obvious that that's what's happening when he's doing it. But Paratici, to me, seems very honest. And when you watch the one today, I liked almost everything about it. There's a couple things which we'll get into it in a sec that were a little bit like, I'm not quite sure what he means by that, or hard to determine. But he's genuine and honest, and he's saying the things that we all agree with.
Yeah.
Everything he said in that video is mostly true. It's just kind of like, okay, yeah, I mean, I can't argue with that. It doesn't seem like he's trying to convince you of anything. He's just saying, this is what we're doing. This is why we're doing it. This is how we're attempting to do it. It's going to be a slog. We understand that it's a difficult job that we have, but they're up for it. And I don't know. I appreciate it. I think it's a good thing.
It was. I mean, we were going to talk about a couple of, we watched the video together again and took some notes. And the first thing you wanted to discuss, Brian, was the transparency, wasn't it?
No, it was the progress, the progress of the team. So essentially, I was thinking about where we were when Paratici came in that July, and then where we are now, and arguably even more so to when Conte came in, and then the difference between when Conte first came in to where we are now. And it was hard to determine what he was saying in that sense, and whether he was happy with the progress or whether I mean, obviously there's still more to do, but again, it was just one of those unclear things. And again, like I said, it's hard to find something wrong with this video, but that was one of the things that for me, I was just trying to get an understanding of what he meant by where we are in the progression that where should we expect to be. But arguably it's in a good place for the most part at this point.
Yeah. I mean, as you know, the first thing I picked up on, and I picked up the first time I watched it, then we watched it together, was when he spoke about everyone was pessimistic. Now everyone is very optimistic. Now, he wasn't very clear on that, whether he meant it was.
Yeah, it was hard to tell if he was talking about the fans,
or within the club,
or...
and within the 25 and the manager.
Yeah,
because I don't think everyone is optimistic on the fan base. I mean, if you're looking at where we're going on the pitch, yes, to an extent, it's been a couple of wins. We've got a couple of good players.
If you watch our takeover last night, you'll know from some of the fans who came on that some of them aren't optimistic, and maybe that's just out of design by their own reasoning. But I wasn't even going to say you. I was saying somebody else. But yeah, I mean, not everybody's fully optimistic. Some people are pessimistic. I'm in between. I mean, I think I'm optimistic about some things and I'm pessimistic about others. I think that you have to be kind of balanced, which is, he said that word a lot in the video, balanced about how you look at a situation. Some of the things are good, some of the things are really good, some of the things you're kind of like, oh shit, like that we could be doing better at that. And
I think what I wanted from that bit, where I would have got a bit more understanding, a bit more clarity of what part of the organization and the football club he was talking about, if it was as a whole.
Yeah, it was hard to tell, wasn't it?
So that was my part. What was your next part that you had?
My next part was long-term plan. So we talked a lot about long-term plan for the club. And my question in that would be, well, why did we hire a short-term manager? Now, we don't know necessarily what Conte is going to do, because Conte is Conte. He does what he wants. But if he's starting to feel like, okay, I'm feeling this long term now because I recognize how long it's going to take. But we know that 18 months is, he's got one more season after this season. And then his contract's up. If he signs another one, then we'll all know where he stands on it. But for me, it was a little bit, why do we hire a short-term manager if there's a long-term plan? We need a long-term manager for that plan.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's Antonio Conte. You take him anyway, because he's going to put the right things in place. So if he does leave, whoever you bring in, as long as the other people who stay with the club ingrain that in the new manager has the same type of mentality. So that was my other one where I wasn't quite sure what the plan
and was there anything else we picked up on? I'm trying to read your writing.
No, sorry about that. Yeah, just talking about how the transfers, and this was something you were wondering about. Why did they take so long?
Of course.
If we're getting them from Juventus, and this is Paratici's old club, he knew the players very well. He knew their.
He mentions that.
Yeah, he knew their people, their agents. Why did we get that done at the end of the window? Giving Conte more time with them in January, arguably we might not even be fighting for top four right now. We might be in that position, even on Chelsea's tail. So I mean, that's speculative, but at the same time, we do know what happens when Conte has time, and if he has time with players who are as good as these players have shown themselves to be, then we would be in a better place, I think.
Yeah, I mean, just on that, I mean, I think we know that by the basis of what that window was we had in January, I don't think that was a Paratici window. That was a someone else whose name I'm not mentioning window.
Well, the length of it is, and that's the thing. But here's what I just want to add this quickly to you, and we didn't talk about this beforehand, but apparently Paratici has a habit of doing the same thing, and maybe that's where Levy and him get along. Is that he likes to find all as many possibilities and saves it to the end before pulling the trigger. I mean, I hate that, but that could be the reason why they get along.
Well, but that's the thing. But that may be a good thing when you've got a manager that says, "I want things done quickly."
Yeah, no, you should do what the manager asks for.
Exactly,
100%.
So I think
100%.
To summarize this whole thing, I think what we got Paratici so far.
Yep.
I wouldn't say he's putting up the trees and sunshine and skittles and rainbows, but it's not doom and gloom.
No.
And I think I know we always say, and I can't believe I'm going to say it, this summer really is the summer of this man. This is where we're going to see.
Let's see it, buddy.
Let's see what this man needs to have a very, very, very important influence in the summer.
Yeah,
his authority.
Yeah, his influence needs to be so much that we don't see the other influence.
Exactly.
For the first time.
That's exactly
what needs to happen. If we still see even a glimmer of it, I'd be uncomfortable.
Exactly. So there you go, guys. That's the Tottenham on Tour takeover of Paratici so far. Hope you enjoyed it. We'd love to hear what you have to say. So don't forget, like, subscribe, and comment. And as always,
come on, you Spurs.